Hi, welcome to the Hunting Illinois podcast. I'm Jason. With me today is Lauren, Dan, and Curtis. Got the whole crew. Real quick, we're gonna go over the outdoor updates or outdoor news. So Dan, go ahead and run through whatever updates we have right now.
Sure. Yeah, just a couple important dates, deadlines, reminders, that kind of thing. Obviously, fall is finally here. I think today is the first day it's actually felt like fall in quite some time, but the days are getting shorter, the leaves are starting to fall, and so it's really time to start thinking about hunting. So obviously the deer archery season opened on October 1st, so that's well underway. Heard some anecdotal reports already from past participants and some buddies that they're seeing pretty good activity, and I think that's only going to pick up with this cold. I shouldn't call it a cold front. It's more normal temperatures for this time of year, but I think we're going to start seeing a definite uptick over the next few weeks. But one important date that I really want to emphasize right now. So we are recording this on October 8th. So today is Wednesday. This weekend, October 11th through October 13th, is the youth firearm deer season. So regardless if you're out there for that season, if you're out archery hunting, you need to wear your blaze orange cap and your blaze orange vest that is 400 square inches. It can be blaze pink too, but one of the two, blaze orange or blaze pink. Make sure you're wearing that this upcoming weekend, October 11th through the 13th, as those youth will be out deer hunting. We do want to certainly wish all the youth a safe and successful season, especially with this cold weather finally kicking in. They may have a really nice harvest, and I think they've set records for the past few years. So I'm curious to see if that trend continues this year or not.
Yeah.
So again, remember to wear your blaze orange. Even if so, one of the public land sites that we hunt routinely does not allow for youth firearm deer season. But since that season is still ongoing, we still need to wear orange, even if that season isn't occurring at your specific site. So just kind of keep that in mind.
hmm
Another important deer deadline slash date, October 21st. So remember that date. That is when all the remaining permits for the deer firearm muzzleloader permits go over the counter on sale. The third lottery has concluded, but on October 21st, those remaining county level permits will be available at select retailers over the counter. So if you didn't snag a permit during the lotteries, or if you want to try to get an extra permit, October 21st, you can purchase those over the counter. And one little plug I always like to give, we always get people, oh, I forgot to put in for the lottery. I didn't get a site specific permit. Are there any options left? And so I looked, there are quite a few county remaining firearm and muzzleloader permits for counties that are in the Shawnee National Forest down in southern Illinois. So there are still options. So if you're willing to travel a little bit, you can buy some of those over the counter tags and still get out for the deer firearm season down in southern Illinois. And again, there's other areas. That's just a big one that has a lot of permits left. Moving right along from deer, it's hard to think about since it finally just started getting a little cold, but turkey. It's time to think turkey. And not necessarily because Thanksgiving's approaching, but the spring turkey lottery just opened on October 7th, so yesterday. So make sure to get that application in. You have quite a bit of time, so I think that first application period closes on December 1st. So you've got, again, months. But it's one of those things, don't wait till the holiday season and then you just forget. If you're interested in obtaining a spring turkey permit for next spring, go ahead and get that application in right now.
That's a good way to think about it, though. When you start thinking about your Thanksgiving
Yep,
plans, go
yep,
put in for that spring turkey permit if that's something you're interested in doing.
yep.
Like, go book
hmm
your plane tickets and then go put in for your permit. Get it booked done early.
Now transitioning back to fall a little bit, want to talk waterfowl. So we are just a week and a half or so away from the first waterfowl opener in Illinois. So the North Waterfowl Zone opens on October 18th. The Central Waterfowl Zone opens on October 25th. The South Central on November 15th. And the Southern Zone opens November 29th. And again, remember to check the Illinois DNR Digest of hunting and trapping regulations for a full breakdown of the season dates, bag limit regulations, as well as those zones. So you can see a map of what those zones actually lay out on the state. But those are your opening dates. And another one that I want to kind of highlight that we're still a few weeks away, but it's going to be here before you know it, is the upland season. So pheasant, quail, and rabbit season open on November 1st in both zones. So Illinois is broken into a north zone and a south zone for upland. However, the starting dates are the same. It's only that the end date that actually changes between those two zones. So pheasant, quail, and rabbit season opens on November 1st. So that will be here before we know it. But yeah, that's about all I got. So remember, it's fall. Get out there and hunt and make sure to put in your spring turkey lottery permit. Don't forget that. And I think, Jason, you have a pretty good video on our YouTube channel that kind of walks people through that entire process. Because I know when you first log into that Explore More system, it can be a little confusing at first to kind of navigate and figure out how to submit that application. I think was it last year you put together a
Yep.
really nice kind of step-by-step YouTube video on how to go through that process. So we'll have that linked in the show notes below.
hmm Yeah, it's a really good video showing not just how to apply, but also how to look at the publicly available information like the hunting reports and the harvest reports and the hunt map to look at different areas to figure out where turkey might be at and things like that. Uh, so yeah, no, it's a good video for sure.
Nice.
I'm saying it's good for any species, honestly. It's good.
hmm
It's just good to know how to do. The more you do it, the more you become familiar with it. But I definitely recommend everybody give it a watch if you've got a few minutes,
hmm
because that chart in the back of the digest is confusing.
It can
So
it can be a little
somebody-
cumbersome. Yep, yep.
having somebody walk you through all that is helpful, and that's one of the big questions we get is like, okay, got my license, I know what I want to hunt, but like, where do I go? How do I know what I need? So
Yeah, and so many people make the mistake when applying for spring turkey more than I think any other. They
I
buy
did
that
it my first year here.
the county tag versus the site specific tag, and that's the chart Lauren's talking about. Tells you which site requires which permit level, and so many different public land sites are also named similar to county names. So if you're not there's more than a few that are named similarly. So make sure you're selecting the right public land site versus the county, because in the drop down tab it is not separated. It was a long list with everything. So the counties and the specific sites are listed in the same drop down tab. So don't pick the wrong one.
yeah, gotta be
Yep.
careful when you're applying for spring turkey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they usually
It can
have
get you.
like state fish and wildlife area or SFW and things like that after the name of the public land site. So they'll have the acronym of whatever type of public land site it is. That's a good way to tell the difference.
Yeah, and just definitely devote some time to it. Don't rush through it because that's when you rush through it the last minute, that's when you're going to make those mistakes. Guilty.
Yeah. Yeah, just do it now. Um, great. Uh, so we already had hunt camp. We talked. I don't know if you guys want to do a quick review of hunt
Yeah,
camp,
we
but
could
just
just quickly, yeah, highlight
real
hunt.
fast. I think it went really well. How do you guys think it went?
No, I think it went great. And I think every
Yeah.
year it gets bigger and better. We had one I think natural shift we made this year, and I'm not sure if a few of the participants that I spoke to or a few of the attendees definitely picked up on it. That the quality of hunts as well as the quality of the gear giveaway increased quite a bit. So in years past, we've had a lot of, very, I don't want to say inexpensive and cheap stuff, but a lot of inexpensive options on the gear giveaway. And this year we kind of flipped that. And so we went with less items, but more value for each item. And so I think that was well respected, but we had a great turnout, definitely reached over 200 attendees. Everything seemed to go well. We gave away over 60 hunts. We gave away a shotgun, gave away a 22, gave away a crossbow. Those were all given away by our partners, not necessarily us, but those were all given away at the event. And yeah, it seemed like everybody had a great time. And one thing that I think was really cool is, obviously I love interacting with the attendees and the public that's there, but also a lot
Mhm.
of the groups that we brought in this year, a lot of new groups that we haven't had before, and seeing the return that they got from an event like, I mean, the amount of people that came up to us and said, I've never talked to so many new hunters in my entire life in one place. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with Hunt Camp. So I think it was a smashing success, definitely from our view, as well as from a lot of the partners and organizations that were also there.
Yeah, I ran into one of our partners later, and they were just like, that was she was just like, that was so much fun. Like I just like good questions, like people who were just really interested. Because sometimes you
Mhm.
kind of get people who are just like, oh, okay, whatever. But just she was very complimentary with the kind of people we have attend our events and just the excitement and just I don't know. At least for me, hunt camp is always, especially going into hunting season and the weather shift. It's always just like a big energy boost. Like everybody's excited and
Yep. Yeah, it
just
definitely
wants to be
kicks off
there
hunting
and
season in a nice way. Yeah.
yeah, like
Mhm.
it's just a nice, wanting to get out there and get everybody into it. It's nice.
Yep.
Yep. And I just want to say that one reason why we were able to get so much more gear and better gear this year is because we had a lot of the early bird stuff and we pushed the tickets a little
Mhm.
bit earlier this year. And we gave away things specifically for people to purchase tickets earlier. So just for people to know for next year, when you purchase your tickets earlier, we don't make money off of this event. We just take that
No,
money
every
and
dollar goes. Yep.
go right back into buying the gear. So thank you for everybody who bought their tickets early and allowed us to run to the store right before the event to go pick up all the stuff that we gave away. So just remember that for next year, if you came in late or just or walked or bought it at the door, if you can come and purchase that ticket like a month in advance, that'd be great for us.
Yeah, if you know you're gonna come, buy the ticket early. Like it
Yeah.
definitely, you guys see the direct benefit from it. And thank you too to all our partners. They did a
Yes.
fantastic job.
Yeah, the donations on the partners side this year was above and beyond. And thank you for everybody in the past who's donated as well. But yeah, it's really caught on. Cool.
Yeah.
All
Talk
right.
to you.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So it's deer season now. Is Curtis still on?
Oh yeah, he's still on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool. I'm sorry, I didn't see a square. So Curtis, I know, went out and scouted for one of our mentored hunts, and you want to tell us a little bit about what you saw or what you didn't see at the moment, and then I don't know what else you guys want to talk about deer. If we want to talk about kind of seasonal changes and why like use Curtis's scouting as an example of what he saw, and then kind of go the seasonal behavior of deer and what you can expect to see moving into October. Does that
Yeah,
make
kind of what our
sense?
plans are, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's do that.
Sure. So yeah, one of our hunt camp hunts was a group deer hunt that we're going to be doing here in the kind of later part of October, and so I got out to kind of scout that area. But I was out on Saturday, October 4th, and some of you might remember that day was still hot. So we're all talking about how it's nice now. It's cooled down over the past couple days. It's starting to feel like fall. But back when I was out, it still felt like the 4th of July. You know, I was waiting to see fireworks. I was swatting mosquitoes and dealing with spider webs the whole time, which, whatever. You know, it is what it is. Got 4 cameras out there, did a little scouting, but did not see a lot of our typical October sign being laid down yet, which, I mean, I don't blame them. If it's 85, 90 degrees, I'm not going to be out doing a whole bunch of stuff either yet. So I did find one real nice rub. So definitely sign is starting to be put down. I think a whole lot more is going to be put down here over the next week to 10 days now that it's cooled down. The days are getting shorter. These bucks are getting antsy. Their hormones are getting heightened. Right now is the time to be out scouting, and almost every time you hit the woods, there's going to be new rubs, new scrapes, new things to find. It's a really exciting and dynamic time to be in the woods right now. But unfortunately, a lot of that stuff had not started being laid down when I was out there on the 4th. So we got our cameras out there, so hopefully we'll get to see kind of all that fun stuff unfold in front of our cameras, and maybe in a podcast or two we'll be able to show some of those pictures that we got out there. But as of right now, didn't see a whole lot other than, you know, mosquitoes, spiders, that sort of
Sure.
thing.
You need Jason so he can walk in front of you. That's always my strategy. He thought I
I
was
did that
kidding.
when
He
we were
thought I
down
was
at
kidding.
Bow. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, he thought I was kidding when we were turkey hunting that one time. Why I had you walk in front of me, but
I mean, I would. I mean, when I was a kid, I was walking behind my dad for sure, and he always had to stick out. But when we were in Bow, actually, I did do that. We walked with some of the ladies on a long hike, trying to look for signs in the woods, and I got the old stick out and started swatting down all the spider webs and everything. We're walking through the woods you got to.
It's the
Um,
same thing. Like in the north, you got to take turns who's leading and who's breaking through the snow, you know.
mhm.
And in Illinois, when you're scouting, it's like who's going to go first and collect all the spider webs.
well, if I go
Um,
first, he's gonna get hit anyway because he's so much taller. So
yeah. So what spots are you looking for in early season? Where are the deer at, and what are they doing there, Dan?
Yeah, so for me, especially this time of year, and again, like Curtis said, it's been uncharacteristically warm for the past few weeks. And so I personally haven't even been out yet, but looking at the weather, I'm heading out tomorrow morning. That'll be my first sit, either tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. Haven't quite decided yet. Play the wind and see what's best there. But I'm going to be very, very heavily focused on that standard, really still their summer pattern, that bed to feed pattern. Um, Unfortunately, in my opinion, one of the best resources that I use a lot is deer hunters watching these crop progress reports, especially in
Mhm.
a state like Illinois. I mean, it is a virtual buffet for a white-tailed deer, whether it's the corn or the soybeans, and especially the pieces of public that we hunt. I mean, they're isolated sections of timber with some riparian rivers coming through, surrounded by nothing but giant big ag. And so a lot of times I don't really even start hunting hard until that ag starts to get harvested, and then those deer start to head back to the forest interior, because you just see a level of activity once those crops come out. So really for me, this next week or two, I will really be focused on finding those areas that are close to ag that have bedding and trying to get between the bed and the food, and that's going to be my main strategy. And again, I haven't been out yet this year, so I'm not sure how pressured the deer are going to be. But if we view that equation like point A and point B, as those deer get more pressured, they may get out of their bed a little bit later in the day. And so I may shift my stand selection closer to point A of that equation to the bedding side, so that let's say they get up at, an hour before dark as opposed to 3 hours before dark. That time as they transition through that path, they're still within my legal shooting light. And so that first sit is probably just going to try to just get a gauge of what the deer are doing. Again, it's hard to tell this time of year. We're only, a week into the season, so they're not terribly pressured yet, but it's public land, and they do start to pick up on that stuff pretty quick. And so I'm imagining my set tomorrow is going to be a little closer to the bedding side than the feeding side, just trying to, again, ensure that when they get up out of their bed and start transitioning to that ag field, that they're still within my legal shooting light. So that's what I'm going to really be focused on for the first probably 2 weeks. And then as those crops start to get harvested, luckily that should coincide really with the testosterone in bucks starting to increase quite a bit. So not only are you going to start seeing a lot of the does shift back to the forest interior, but now those bucks are going to do a lot of their doe checks. They're going to start really checking those bedding areas. And so as I move through the month of October, I'll get even closer and closer to doe bedding, not to the point that I'm hunting over the bedding area, but using that as kind of my lure to bring in the buck, right? So the first couple weeks I'm focused on the bedding, trying to get that bed to feed pattern. And then later through October and November, I focus on the doe bedding, trying to get that buck who's coming downwind, who's going to scent check all those does in the bedding area.
Mm. Do you tend to focus all your hunts on morning, evenings, or just whatever your schedule allows?
A lot of it depends on what the schedule allows. I will say personally, I prefer the morning hunt, and it's not necessarily for like seeing a level of activity or that time. I like that I can extend the hunt if things are going well. And the most frustrating part of deer hunting for me is when the night really starts to pick up and you look at, oh crap, I've got 15 minutes left of legal light. And so I prefer the morning just because I like waking up to the morning, hearing the woods wake up with you. And then again, you can extend your hunt if the activity's really, really good. Hey, just sit longer. Where in the evening you have that kind of finite stopping point. But and we've talked about it quite a bit on this podcast and any of my webinars. I'm big fan, especially as we get into kind of the seeking and chasing phase of rut, is to do
Mhm.
all days, not necessarily all day sits, but midday sits. And so a lot of times I'll start, before sunrise and sit till, 1:30. And then when most people are coming back to the woods, I'm actually heading home for the day.
I will say, based on my experience with my husband last year, like practically speaking, I feel like morning's kind of nice because if you do get something, like it's not like the chaos or all right, let me find this thing, let me get, it's dark, like just, even just like field dressing it, bringing in all the moths, like choking on,
Sure.
I like sucked in a moth last year. That was a little traumatizing, just like it's just practically speaking, it's a lot easier to deal with all that when it's light.
Oh,
So.
no doubt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the opposite a little bit. I prefer to deal with that when it's dark, when I know there's nobody else hunting that I'm going to be interrupting. And when it's dark, I feel like I have the woods to myself and I can do my thing and nobody's going to bother me and I can get the deer out. And plus, it's a little cooler. Archery season, I'm more stressed during the day if that sun's shining than I am. I'm super comfortable in the woods at night. I don't know. I got decent night vision, so I feel good at night, even without a light in the woods. I dig it.
Well, for me, it wasn't even a lack of feeling comfortable. It was just I was tired. Like I was like, I wanted to go to bed. Like I was like, we still have so much work to do.
And
Yeah, I
again,
think
I should clarify, I'm not going to like, if the wind is right for an eve, I will sit. But I really do prefer that again, and it's solely for the purpose that I can continue to extend that hunt rather than, okay, I've got a hard stop that I've got to legally stop by. That gets frustrating to me at times. But again, that's part of it.
Yeah. And
I
then for
do
someone
like
who's
how
like,
you.
if you're
Sorry, I
someone who
like.
does want a hard stop, then you can at least go in the evenings and like, okay, I don't need to force myself to stay out here. I know I can't hunt
Mhm.
anymore. So it depends on your personality.
Yeah. But I like how you kind of talked about sort of closing in on the deer bedding area because this is a really popular hunting tactic today. You know, different people like Dan Infalt, the hunting public, have made it really a lot more popular now to hunt bedding areas, whereas 20 years ago that used to be taboo, right? And I think that's a really important tactic. Like I don't want to poo poo on hunting bedding areas, but especially for newer hunters, you're going to find way more success if you slowly, very slowly close in on that bedding area. Because if you start hunting the bedding area and you mess something up, you've got nowhere else to go.
Yeah,
You know,
you're lost, right? Yeah.
Whereas if you're close to the feed source and you mess something up, guess what? You can move closer to the bedding area and start over and hunt that deer brand new. So I really like slowly closing in on the bedding area for the main reason that it gives you that leeway that if you make a mistake or two, you've still got moves that you can make and still potentially hunt that same deer. So don't get in the bedding area too quick. It's just not worth it. We got time. Archery
Yep.
season's long,
Mhm.
no reason to rush it.
Play your cards right. Yeah. Because like you said, I mean, we talked about this point. You have this equation, bed to feed, point A, point B. And now if you blow up point A and you have nowhere to start, you're basically trying to find a needle in a haystack. And all that time you spent scouting and identifying those bedding areas, well, now you're you're back to square one.
Yeah. Me personally, I hunt travel corridor in the morning as they're going from wherever they were feeding and heading back into the bedding areas. But so I hunt I know a couple travel corridors. I'm not exactly sure where bedding is all the time because they could bed in 100 different places between these like this area and the other one. So it's not like I know they're going to this bush or whatever, but I do know they're going to use travel corridor to get there. So I'll hunt a travel corridor in the morning, and then in the evenings I find myself along field edges. And like you said, probably after harvest has been
Mhm.
done because I'm not hunting ag fields. I'm hunting like scrub fields. So so yeah, and I see him come out in the field edge as October gets a little later in October. But yeah, and I guess it goes to what my schedule is and what the wind's doing really depict. Those are basically all the factors that I consider
Yeah,
for going out.
the wind is more a factor for me than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's days where I just simply won't go because the stands I want to hunt I can't because the wind's incorrect or not ideal. And like Curtis said, the same thing kind of applies if you blow up a bedding area. If you blow up a transition area between, that bed to feed or whatever pattern you're hunting at, I mean, you're basically starting over from square one as well. And so there's plenty of times where I'll just go, nope, I can't sit that spot today. I'll check my plan B, plan, nope, none of those were okay. I'm just going to sleep in and yeah, I'll hunt another day.
Yep.
Yeah, good point. The wind, like that's when you wake up in the morning, check the wind, check the weather, and that's how you dictate your hunt, especially if you're hunting public land, which right now we're all still kind of in the scouting mindset. We're not really big time hunting yet, but it's going to turn into hunting real soon.
Yep.
And but yeah, same thing. Right now is the time to try to get your plan A, B, C, D, and E. And the reason you have all those plans is not just because somebody might be in your plan A or B, but it's because different wind conditions is how you choose which one of those you're going to be hunting. Each one of those you should hopefully start to get an idea through your scouting efforts or after you start sitting through your observations. Where are the deer coming from and where are they going at each of these spots so that you'll know? And is it 100%? No, but in most of my spots I know, okay, in the morning deer are going to be coming from this way and going this way, and vice versa in the evening. And a lot of times we can learn that from trail camera pictures, or if not that, then once you start sitting you'll get to know that. And then every morning when you know the way the wind's blowing, just pull up your map on your phone. Well, wind's blowing that way and the deer are coming from that way, so guess what? I can't hunt any of these spots, so I'm down to plan E, F, G. I mean, you might have to go way down the list, or like Dan said, if you don't have a good spot to hunt in those conditions, it's better to not go in the woods rather than to blow up and change all of the hard work you've done scouting over the past weeks/months that you've been doing that.
Yep.
Yeah. And
And
it's
just to put it in perspective of that, just to kind of summarize essentially what Curtis just said, there's times where I will get to I'll check the weather. Okay, it's saying the wind's blowing southwest, perfect for me. And then I get there, it's not doing that. There's literally times where I will just, when I get there and the conditions don't appear to be what the Weather Channel says, that I will forego that spot or forego hunting in general. It's especially on public land. And if you're chasing after, especially a mature buck that, maybe 4.5, you may only get one or two opportunities at that deer. If he smells you or knows something's off, you may literally never see him use that bedding area again. You may never see him use that path again. And so a lot of it just depends. If the conditions aren't right, there's plenty of other sits.
And
And
that's
in
also
case,
the benefit of public land too, because if you're hunting private land, it's only 10, 20 acres. They're depending on
Amen.
the direction of your private land and where you're trying to get in and out of it at and everything else, you're kind of stuck.
Yep.
There's gonna be more days where your wind's not right versus on public where you have 2,300 acres. You can go out and try to find those plants. Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, I grew up hunting a small family farm that was about 40 acres in northern Missouri, and wind literally didn't care. I was going to sit in the same tree because, we had five
Yep.
or six of us all hunting the same 40 acre. You had your stand, and you were in that stand every day for
Hmm.
for multiple seasons. That was just your stand. And yeah, I love, and I think that's why we all still kind of focus on public land today is getting, one, we like to explore in the adventure aspect of it, but two, you get to see so many different habitat types. You get to try different, you just learn more about the game species. And I feel like you become a way better hunter than somebody who sits in the same stand day after day after day after day. And for me,
it's
that's
like a
the
puzzle.
big appeal of public land is being able to make these adjustments on the fly. Oh, the winds change. Okay, I'm going to go over here rather than, well, I'm going to sit here and probably not see anything, but it's my spot, so I have to sit here.
Hmm.
And in case anybody's wondering how to kind of figure out some of this stuff from your trail cam, Curtis just did a great webinar last night, actually, about trail camera data management that we will have up on YouTube probably by the time this is up, I would imagine, maybe a little bit after. So we'll make sure we have a link for that as well. I think it was a really good one. So
Awesome.
Cool.
Certainly don't have to use trail cameras to scout. People scouted
Hmm.
for many, many years without use of trail cameras. Some people even say it's cheating. And in some states, it's no longer allowed on public land. So
Yeah, was it Iowa? Was that? I think
I think it was Kansas,
Kansas.
and
It was Kansas. That's right. Yep.
and there are some legitimate concerns that I
Hmm.
never thought about. Like, just for example, on public land, let's say you're hunting, and okay, well, nature calls, you got to relieve yourself, and you do so, and then you look up, and somebody's camera is staring right at you. What do you do in that scenario? And I think that was one of their major arguing things in Kansas that kind of got them outlawed. And I'm yeah,
Huh.
thinking about it, it's like, yeah, that's kind of it's public land, and like, what are you gonna do?
Hmm.
That's a rough thing. So
yeah, but if you've already got them out and you want to do something besides just see, what deer are around, like I said, I thought it was interesting. So if you want to do something besides that, I thought it was a cool webinar. So
And one thing I want to emphasize about trail cameras too. I mean, I've used them quite a bit growing up and ran a few last year. I don't have any out at this moment in time this year. And one of the biggest things I think people get. I mean, I get the text and emails from new hunters all the time. I'm just not seeing anything in my trail camera, but then they'll go sit in that spot and they'll see 10 deer. It's like, yes, your trail camera might be on this side of the tree. All it takes is all those deer to walk over here, and you're never seeing them, never seeing them,
mhm.
or walk around. And so many people focus on only what they see on the trail camera that I think they're almost avoiding sitting at spots because, oh, I'm just not seeing the level of pictures that I expected. Well, there are
Like it's a
other
tool,
factors that may lead to that. So
right? Like it's a tool. Like it's
Mhm.
not the only tool. Like it's.
yeah, and there is a science to setting trail cameras and getting pictures of deer, like Dan's talking about. That a lot of new folks that go out and set trail cameras set them in good spots, like he's talking about, but they don't get the pictures because it's simple to do. For one, deer are shorter than most people
Yes,
think.
yes.
So a lot of times they'll find this trail. Oh, here's a good trail, and they'll put the camera way too close to the trail, but then they'll also put it too high, and all the deer that walk by walk right underneath the camera. All you get is the pictures of the people. It's a very common. We used to do that in wildlife classes when students would set cameras. They would set all these cameras. They would never get pictures of nothing because they were setting them at human height, and all these critters walk around on four legs. They're shorter, so and they look
I
better when they're a little
practiced
further away too.
when I
Yeah.
first got trail cameras, I was practicing in my backyard and I was like, man, I'm getting nothing. And it's amazing, even if you just set them on the ground, how much more you get than when you
Yep.
tie them to a tree when you don't know. Although I will say the danger is I did have a squirrel push one over, like because you could see him, and he like got the night lens like stuck and then killed my batteries because he looked up into a tree, it made it look into a tree, so those leaves,
Oh,
going back
yeah.
and forth. But it was funny because he was just like, aha, like you could see him looking like all triumphant and then just skittering away. But you get way more than you
In
think. So
Sparta, and he just
yeah,
kicks it right over, right?
yeah, it was just it was funny. But yeah, so I recommend practicing a little bit because and angling them, you gotta work with it a little bit.
One technique I really like to use, and not every camera has the setting, but it's a photo burst mode. And a lot of times, especially if you're putting up trail camera, a lot of people want the pictures of the bucks, right? The antlers. And so a lot of times these, especially the more inexpensive models, have a 3 to 5 second delay between the time they take pictures. So you may have a doe come down a trail, boom, it takes a picture, and then who's following right behind her? Oh, but it's between those 3 to 5 seconds, so you didn't get a picture of it. And so when I used to run trail cameras, I would always have like a 3 or 5 picture burst. That way I catch that main doe coming down the trail, and then it just keeps taking a few pictures, hoping that if something is following, I'm going to see her. So again, there's a lot of nuance to trail cameras. So don't put all your eggs in that basket. If I'm not seeing anything, well, there still could be deer there. If there's sign there, there's deer there.
Hmm.
Sure, and pay attention to the settings and where you're
Yeah,
putting
yeah.
them too. Because, for example, if let's say you got private land, and so you are putting a camera on the edge of a feeding source, right? Maybe it's a cut cornfield, maybe it's a green browse field, but you're going to want to have some kind of delay in there because if you don't, you're going to wind up with 600 pictures of the same deer that stood out there for 45 minutes browsing. Whereas if you're on a trail, you don't really want that delay because every deer that comes in cross of your camera is going to be a new animal. So you want picture, picture, picture. Um, so keep that in mind. Everywhere you set your camera, you might need to set the settings a little bit differently for peak performance. Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I saw, I don't have any experience with it just because, again, we hunt public land that's not really conducive for this style of camera. But I think it was a couple years ago they really hit the market, and essentially it's like a time lapse camera that it's not motion activated, literally just every few seconds takes a picture. And the idea is
Yeah.
it's very wide angle that then you set up on a huge food source, and you can just see how they naturally feed through that field. And I think that's a really neat way to use a trail camera. If, again, if your situation calls for it. I certainly wouldn't put that out on public land, but it seems like it'd be a lot of fun to play with just again natural because we even talk about that at a lot of our workshops and stuff of using kind of a reconnaissance hunt where you just get over the giant feeding area, you try to sit in an area where you can see the most landscape as you can and just watch how they're naturally feeding across that field and use that in your hunt strategy. And this is kind of an interesting way to use a trail camera to do the same thing.
Yeah, I've never done it before, but that sounds awesome. And
Yeah.
you can still probably get away with it on some fields in public land if you want to watch a field specifically and do like that kind of reconnaissance hunt type view.
Sure, just put them up high.
Yep.
Put them up
Yep.
high.
Yeah, just put it right at your stand and have it pointed out, and you'd be like, "Oh, I should have been there. Dang it!" It's
That's the worst part about trail cameras. I swear. Like all these people with the cell camera. Again, I don't own any of the cell phone
You're just
cameras.
kicking yourself like, oh,
Yeah,
like I know
the
I should
amount
have
of
taken
times I
off
would get a
today.
text message when I'm like sitting in bed. Ah, shit, I should have been out today. Yeah, not worth it.
I don't blame people who do this, but man, if you had a back 40, like just like if your house was on a back, like if you could hunt out your back door and you had a cell camera out there and you saw where saw a buck come onto your property, and then if you knew where they were heading and then go out to head them off, I don't know how I feel about that. That's
That's why
wild.
some states are really starting to
Yeah.
look into it because it starts to, I don't want to say attack the fair chase doctrine that a lot of hunting relies upon, but it certainly puts it under a different perspective.
I mean, I give you credit if you can sneak in there without kicking them out of the entire. I mean, if I just don't know how you'd. I don't know. That's a
Yeah.
gray area for sure.
I mean that I always find this conversation fascinating, and not necessarily just about trail cameras, just the concept of technological advancements and how it applies to fair chase. I mean, you see the
Yes.
same thing on the fishing side of things. There's a lot of tournaments that ban, what are they, the Alabama rigs that'll have 6 or 7 different lures on this one contraption that you drag through and it looks like a ball of shad. A lot of the tournaments are starting to really look at sonar and a lot of these imaging systems and go, okay, where do we draw the line here? Because now you have underwater submersible drones. And like, I find this whole conversation extremely fascinating.
Yeah, I
Pretty much
saw.
all sides of the spectrum.
I'm totally out of the loop on high tech fish equipment, but I mean, I knew what I did when I was an undergraduate and what we did for fisheries research in the Great Lakes and stuff. But now they're using that type of stuff for fishing, and like I've seen videos of them going over that debate of like basically you're fishing in a video game because they have the live,
Right.
basically a live camera feed of radar underwater, whatever you want to call it. I'm ignorant on this, but you can see your lure, you can see the fish, you can see what you're doing to it, and then you can see the fish basically hit your line and then go from there. And there's people that live on that thing. Like they're going out to get out in the outdoors, and then you're sitting there looking at a small screen all day long on your bass boat, just doing that for fishing. And yeah, again, it's interesting what is legal, and then also what is your own personal ethic,
There's a
which is
there's a definite line there. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, not to mention you could certainly correlate the right now the fad of scouting slash researching deer utilizing drones,
hmm
or a device that can basically be undetected to deer. They've never once had to be worried about an AV 24/7. I think it's pretty clear to see how that could be maybe utilized in not good ways by hunters. So I don't want any part of it.
Same. Yep. It's a
I mean there's that one I'm not gonna cite the kid on here, but there is a one YouTube video where as of right now he's sponsored by Hunt on X, and he was featured I think in Outdoor Life or something like that. So I'm assuming whatever he's doing is legal because I think there's some legal ramifications of looking of
Sure,
researching
it's
deer with drones.
illegal. I just don't
But
like
I know you
it.
don't like it, but I mean if he's finding information out that otherwise we wouldn't have, I don't see a problem with it. I mean it's the same as what's the difference between collaring a deer and putting your hands on an animal and actually having to collar it versus watching it on a camera on a drone.
Well, when the college students have to petition to get those research funds, they have to prove that there's a reason beyond just helping hunters harvest bigger bucks. Whereas there's not that same constraint on dude man who's just following bucks with his thing. And so that's what he's getting at, is he's trying to provide information for hunters, which is not illegal, but is certainly, in my mind, crossing ethical boundaries that I don't want to be any part of.
I mean, all of our workshops are educating people on how to hunt better
Yeah,
and
but we're not directly
remove.
harassing wildlife, right? So when
Yeah,
you go through like a research protocol process and you have to go before the institutional review board and define exactly step by step what you're doing, what the benefit is, what the stresses are on the wildlife, he's doing none of that, right? And so for me, that's where the hangup is sure, again, it might be legal, but I do not view it as ethical because I believe it is harassing wildlife. Without going through a standard. And again, all bureaucracy is bad. Well,
yeah.
there is a lot of bad bureaucracy out of there, but a lot of times it's for good.
But if looking at the footage that the kid has, you don't see the animals looking under duress or or looking like they're
It
being
doesn't
Not
matter.
the
harassed.
deer. I
It doesn't matter.
100% agree. It doesn't bother the deer,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
deer
Then
share
what's
the
the,
same habitat with dozens of species that are way more important than deer, probably biologically. And those species do worry about avian predators, and yeah, their activity is not going to be caught in the camera because that's not what he's filming. But it's a consequence.
It also starts with like you start with one that it's okay. Because like a lot of IRB stuff starts the reason a lot of them came around was some of the unethical human testing they used to do. So it's a little bit different with wildlife, but it's the same type thing where it's like once you start with one, it kind of starts to slip. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, oh, okay, it's okay for the, you know what I'm saying? Like it kind of starts to get,
Before too long, you'll have everybody out there with the drone. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, nobody wants that. That's
Yeah.
gross.
I totally get what you're saying. Like, because it's like it's interesting, but it's he has maybe good intentions, but
Oh,
there's a
absolutely. Yeah, I'm not saying anything
some of the
against it. Yeah.
IRB stuff, like
His
IRB can
intentions
be a
are to
pain in the
get
butt,
rich on
but it's
YouTube with good footage.
yeah.
That's his
Just with my
intention.
anthropology background and my history degree, I'm like IRB is there for a reason. Like especially when you do like human dimensions or like anthro stuff, like there's a reason. Because as soon as you start, dealing with certain things like that, you have to have that.
And like Curtis was talking about, the whole concept of IRB, like, yeah, it applies to the animal you're studying, but the vast majority of that, those processes are about the habitat or the other
Yeah.
wildlife or other things that you may impact as a research activity without even thinking about. And I think avian predators is a great example for this drone conversation for sure.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. I do not have a problem with doing research for figuring out how to hunt better versus animal biology research. And also, I don't see a problem where you might be studying one thing, looking at how to hunt better, but then you find out something about deer biology that you can then apply for a deer biologist and management purposes as well. So I don't have a hang up at all for people doing research or funding
Is
research
he
to
on public land with
increase
all this?
hunting. No, it was his private land, I believe.
Private? I was just wondering too if you start getting into privacy concerns with drones, like Curtis was saying, like they were
I hate the
saying.
whole concept of drones. I hate drones.
Yeah,
Hate them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm just saying, you're worried about like, being able to pee in peace on public land. Like you start
I
to get
hate them.
drones everywhere. Like,
Yeah, it's a worrisome thing, you know. I don't like it either. It's an awesome tool for certain things, but yeah, don't like it. But we should step back. We've been talking a lot about sort of this advanced scouting metrics, but one of the common questions we get this time of year is a lot of people, new hunters, hunting a brand new area. If you are hunting a brand new area, you haven't started yet, you haven't started scouting from square one, where do you start? Which is a good question. I'll go over mine first, and then I'm sure everybody's got a little different thing, but I'm going to start looking at aerial maps, whatever I've got, Google Maps. If you've got Hunt Stand, OnX, check those out. Look for any place of interest that pops out to you and mark that as a place to go check. But without knowing anything else, if there is a creek that runs through the property, one of my first things is going to be to get on that creek and try to walk the entirety of that and find the best creek crossings. Because, I mean, without a doubt, like probably 75% of the times out there, if you find a hot creek crossing on an area, that's going to be one of the prime hunting spots on that whole area. It's usually in the woods, it's protected, so deer do a lot of daytime movement. It's almost always a travel corridor like Jason's talking about, so you're not spooking them out of their bed, you're between their bed and feed. And that's like my first thing to really look for when I'm in a brand new spot and trying to find a spot to hunt. How about you all?
Yeah, I think that's pretty appropriate. Mine's a slightly different, but I kind of take a difference, and I think we're kind of getting at the same thing. But one thing I've really started to focus on when I start looking at a new site, obviously, like you said, topographic, aerial maps, all of it. What I really start to look for is what is that uh, most rare resource on that specific piece of property. It's usually never water, it's usually never food, and a lot of times it's not really cover. It might be the correct type of cover, but that's what I'm doing at a large scale kind of landscape level right off the start is this a giant forest area where everything's wooded? Okay, then I'm going to start trying to identify those areas of open cover. If it's a fairly open area, I'm going to try to identify those areas of thicker cover. And so for me, a lot of it is finding whatever that limiting resource is. And again, usually in Illinois, it's for me, it's never water. Creek crossings are a great example of transition zones, but I'm not necessarily looking for water as you aren't either as the drinking source. Food is never really a huge limit. I mean, Illinois is a virtual buffet for wildlife, and so a lot of times I find just that differing cover. If you have an area that's predominantly oak hardwoods, and then you have a pine stand or a cedar thicket. Well, sometimes those internal edges like we talked about this concept of edge quite often in all of our stuff, this intersection between two habitat types. A lot of times that's what I'm looking for is where's that edge between what I consider the limiting cover in that specific landscape and try to hone in on that area. Because for me, usually that's when I'll find some bedding activity in those unique covers.
For sure.
Hmm.
Especially got to throw out if you can find where three different types of
Yes.
habitats are
Yes.
coming together, three or more, like deer being such an edge species, those are really hot spots. So what I'm talking about, if you find where like a fallow field meets like hardwood forest, but also a patch of evergreens. You know, that's like three different habitat types all together. Those aren't always hot spots, but I'm always checking them out because
Mhm.
more often than not, there is some really good sign there. Whatever it is about the intersection of all these multiple habitat types, it concentrates not just deer, but I would say all wildlife are somewhat concentrated in those areas.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just the diversity of plants that can be in an area like that. It's
Yeah, I
interesting.
believe.
I mean, most game species are what we would consider edge species by and
Yeah.
large.
And I feel like variety is good,
Mhm.
for
Hmm.
like even though they, are gonna eat, they don't need like the most nutritious stuff all the time because they're like the ruminants, might as well.
I think they like to walk in the field on the field edge, and then if something they can see across the field, so at least one side they can see, they can smell anything else, and then if something scares them, they can jump into the woods if they have to. So it's an escape route itself is being on that edge of a wood line. That's just the behavior I see, like what I would
I
imagine or
buy it.
think.
Yep, for
Mm.
sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at all those things, looking at like this habitat across landscape, looking for diverse habitat, and then I'm looking at where I can find something that's going to get within range of me. So I'm looking for those pinch points, I'm looking for the funnels, I'm looking for topography to see how they're going to be moving across the area. I know like in big
Not
wood
to cut you off,
situations.
Jason, but one thing I
Go
want
ahead.
to add, and then I'll let you go back. Uh,
Yeah.
I talked about this concept of limiting resource in Illinois. A lot of times it's topography too, right? And
Yeah.
so I'll now let you take over. But yeah, that's a whole nother factor of habitat condition that you can kind of play into. It's not just what are the plants and stuff in that area, but what's the topography doing?
Yeah. So yeah, we have a bedding webinar where we talk all about bedding that's on our YouTube page now. And so there's ridge point bedding, and then there's also south facing slopes if it's cold outside, or north facing slopes if it's hot outside, depending on what's going on. But yeah, so just finding out where I think the deer are gonna be moving around that day versus, and again, it always go back to the wind. And then yeah, just looking where if there's like there's one spot I'm really interested in hunting, which is where the river has like a cliff on the one side of it, and if you and I went there, and there sure as heck was a deer trail along the edge of that cliff because they can't go anywhere else, so they hit that and they have to turn. So so I want to hunt along that cliff, see if I can get a good sit on that cliff face
Did you
sometime
draw
this
a
year.
firearm for that spot this year? Because that'd be a great firearm spot.
I did, yeah,
Did you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So, so yeah, so out there, so that hard cliff is going to be a spot they can't pass that, so then they're gonna have to turn. So finding barriers they can't cross, or things that make them have to cross certain areas. So, so not because I mean across this landscape, we have deer almost everywhere in these woods for the most part. There might be some areas that are more in versus others for some reason or the other. So figuring out where the most traffic's going to be. I usually start walking down just a regular hiking trail, and then look for deer trails, and then get off the hiking trail and start walking through the woods, which people who go hiking aren't used to doing usually. So then you're actually walking through the woods and then trying to find where you have a convergence of trails. So that when you have more than two or three trails overlapping each other within a certain area, then I know that's a high traffic area. And then I start looking at all the other stuff and like, why is it a high traffic area? Where are they coming from? Where are they going? And then topography of how I can get close to them from there. And yeah, that's basically it. But basically, there's like 20 different things we just listed off. But yeah, that's basically
It's that
it.
easy.
Yeah.
But I mean, a perfect example of it is Lauren and I had a deer workshop this past weekend at Des Plaines State Fish and Wildlife Area. And one aspect of that workshop was, oh, I want to set up like I hunted the spot. I shot a deer. We set up, fake blood trail and went through that entire process. And so I actually wanted to find a spot that I would, if I could hunt that area, that I would sit in. And so what was the first thing I did was look at satellite imagery. Okay, everything's giant prairie. Hey, I found a little pocket of woods. Inside that pocket of woods was a little overgrown kind of fallow field, and there was multiple points where you had five or six trails converging on one specific hotspot, and boom, those are the areas I'm looking for. So it was kind of
Oh
a
yeah.
perfect test case of this process of look at what's different in the area. Okay, this is a limiting resource. Now go walk to it. Oh, and you find all these converging trails. Sit there.
Wait, our participants were laughing at us because we're like, we had to find a good tree, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "You don't understand."
Yeah.
I'm like, we had to walk, we had to find a good tree. Like, there wasn't a good spot for us to like. We had to, like, we couldn't just throw it in the field. Like, we had to find a good spot for it.
Mhm.
Do this blood trail, like, like we got to walk to get there. This is not an easy because some of our stuff it's easy to set up. You can be like, "Oh, I'll be right here." Not at
Right,
the site.
right.
We had to find a good spot.
And it
I
was literally a spot I would hunt. It was It had bedding, had food, had everything you
I
need.
mean, and we found
Yep.
beds, we found, trails. I will say I don't really deer hunt, but I am surprised how much deer has with overlap with what I've learned with trapping. So I feel like a lot of it is it's a lot of similar, like looking for paths, looking for where
Mm.
things intersect, like that sort of thing. And I've also been learning because where I live up here, we do have a lot of water. So looking for things like oxbows, looking for, and then with squirrel hunting too. If I've kicked up deer, remember where I've kicked up deer at. It seems to be a big one,
And
because
waterways and kind of these riparian areas are excellent. Not just like Curtis said, these creek crossings, but also a lot of Illinois, especially. I mean, it's been fairly dry. We finally got some rain. Was it last night or the night before here in central Illinois? But it's been drier than snot, and so it's probably going to be pretty hard to find fresh tracks outside of
Hmm.
these riparian areas. So a lot of times I go to these riparian areas just, hey, there are actually still deer here, just to give you some confidence because you can actually find, tracks in some of that moist soil rather than when you get to the upland and it's just bone dry and you can't see anything.
yeah, and sometimes if you can find that real like soft dirt, if at least if you see a track, it's probably fairly
Hmm.
recent because it's blown away, so it's still
Hmm.
there. Because we saw a couple, at this site,
Yep.
so
And
they're
gotta
around.
just mention, walking down creeks in the woods in October is, hey, that's a good time. I don't
It's
care who
magic.
you
It's
are.
magic.
Like, even if you're not finding deer sign, I mean, look around. You might find an arrowhead in the creek.
You
You
might
might
pick up some wood
find,
ducks.
oh, you could find a
Yep.
Pleistocene bone. You might find a woolly mammoth tooth. You never know what you might find in a creek. That's where erosion is happening and like history is being laid out at your feet. You're not only getting to see all the animal sign like we're talking about and getting to see the tracks because there's usually a good substrate, but you can find really cool rocks and artifacts. And I mean, just
I mean, you might find
everybody
a
loves
raccoon,
walking
depending
down
on
the
time of
creek.
day. You might find a little raccoon just hanging out if you're early enough.
Hmm. That's something I struggle with. Sometimes I focus too hard on hunting and I don't have fun while I'm doing it.
No, I do. I'm like, man, we heard we were squirrel hunting. We heard a raccoon. I'm like, oh, we can go home now. Like I heard a raccoon. I'm happy. Like we saw something cool. Like we heard something cool.
Hmm. Yeah, you gotta have that childlike wonder.
Yeah, you're putting
Sometimes you
hunting
gotta
on a
tap back into
pedestal,
that.
Jason.
Yeah, you get bored, pull out that Merlin app, see what birds are going on, like see what's going on.
I don't
Just
get bored.
He just
But
gets in
I
the
take
zone.
I'm in, yeah, I mean it's the benefit of just like you're only thinking about one thing. I do love that. But no,
I'm
it's
not,
just
and I'm not bored.
super
I'm just like,
focus.
oh,
Yeah,
like
I know.
birds. Like what's that bird? What's this? What's going on? Like
Yeah. I don't know if I would
watching the
call it a
squirrels.
pedestal, but yeah, I definitely
I
have
like the
issues.
woodpeckers. I know all the deer hunter hate the woodpecker. Like you guys are all just like, ah, oh, freaking woodpeckers making me crazy. But I'm like, oh, just watching them, having a good time.
Cool.
You know, just enjoy what you see.
Absolutely. Yeah. I try. I mean, it's one of those things where I tell people, and then I don't know if I practice it myself, but I'm like, don't take yourself too sh seriously. Usually it's turkey hunting. I'm like, you're dressed as a bush pretending to be a tree. Like, not you're dressed as a bush trying to be a tree. You're dressed as a bush pretending to be a bird. So don't take yourself too seriously turkey hunting. But yeah, no, you shouldn't take
And
yourself
you're
too
gonna get
seriously
that right one of
at
these
all.
times, Jason. You said it right the
I
first
know.
time, and then like the last two or three times you keep messing up. I got faith in you. Next time's gonna be the time, buddy.
Appreciate it. But yeah. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah.
feel
It's
like you
got to
didn't
be
believe
your
us.
bull.
And
I
you're,
feel like
yeah.
you didn't believe us when Jacob and I were like, we're just happy to be here. Like we are just happy to
No,
be here. Like we are just happy to be outside walking around.
I try to be.
Yeah. You have birds land on you. That kept
I
happening to
know.
me. I would
No,
be
I
shouting that
have
from freaking
moments.
rooftops.
No, I have moments of enjoyment of hunting for sure. No, I love it. But
If you didn't, you wouldn't be out there. Yeah.
yeah,
That's true.
exactly. I
You
tell
saw
you what,
those
that's something that
coyotes last year? That's dope. You almost got run over by coyotes. That's
I
cool.
have almost gotten run over by coyotes, but yeah. But no, that's definitely something as you grow up, that some of these adult hunters might not get. But like when you're a kid, you kind of do it because it's just I don't know, this might be my personal story, but you do it because like your dad's going, and then like you kind of just do it because it gives you something to do, and it allows you to get out with your dad and spend time with him and stuff. And like sometimes you might not want to get out of bed or whatever, but you just do it anyway. And then when you finally start doing it yourself, and like I moved across country, so I'm in Illinois, they're back in Pennsylvania. So like when I first went out, probably in Michigan, when I was in graduate school in Michigan, and I started doing it by myself, I don't know if I ever thought I was going to actually keep going or not. But then when you actually start keep going again, it's like a whole nother phase of hunting for yourself. It's very interesting. So, but probably the same as someone going out with a mentor and then going out for themselves on the first time too. But it's different because you're still wanting to go out as an adult. You've already gone through this effort of like going out and like I want to go out for sure. But like I don't know, there's something about being a kid and then going out as an adult and making and being doing it yourself because you want to versus because you're doing it for someone else. Anyway,
I
that's my
think that's
therapy
why I
talk for
like
the
our
day.
mentored hunts because like everybody's so excited to be there, you know? Like it's
Yeah,
fun.
absolutely. No, that's like that's the best part. That's the best part of our job is to get out with people who are that new people energy that are again just happy to be there. I mean, that's the best part for sure.
Yeah, my story's a little bit different than that. I definitely had to force my dad to take me hunting. He was not a hunter. He was a big bass angler. That was his jam, the tournament bass style. So he liked the outdoors and things. But yeah, it was not him forcing me to hunt. It was, please, can we go? Can we go? Please take me. I want to learn.
I
My
feel
dad,
like mine's just a little different because I didn't know it was a hobby. I just thought it was what you
It's just something
did.
you did. Yeah.
And
Mm.
so it was like for my elementary school days, when people would ask me, "What do you do for fun?" I'd be like, "Oh, I play baseball." I would never even say hunting, even though I'd be like, "Oh, do you hunt?" Like, "Oh yeah, I hunt, trap, fish, do all that stuff." But I would never list that as my hobbies because I just thought that was what you did. Like you eat dinner, you hunt, you go to the bathroom, you brush your teeth, you trap. I mean, this is what everybody does. Like it wasn't until one of my friends, like parents, when they were asking me my favorite foods, and one of the first words out of my mouth was squirrel, and then
I actually believe that.
I don't think she ever trusted me after that, and that's when I started to realize, oh, maybe I'm the one that's not normal.
That's hilarious.
yeah, my 13th birthday gift was hunter safety and a bow. And my poor dad was so excited because he was a big private land deer hunter, and his dad didn't teach him. He went and figured it out. Um, but where I grew up, I mean, it was a lot of small in Maryland, but a lot of small farms. So across the street, he had like all dairy farm, like a lot of private land nearby he could go. Um, but I think he was so excited. Like he was like, "Oh yeah, she's gonna be so into this." Like, because I loved hunter safety with like the tracks. I thought it was super cool. Oh my God, deer hunting for me was like torture. I just remember sitting there in the dark, freezing my ass off, trying to read like Harry Potter at like 5 a.m. in the dark. Like I was so cold. It was awful. Like it was. I was just like, this is not for me. Like this is not my jam. If somebody had told me, and I should have told him, if like you could run around the woods with your dog, I would have been all for it. Or trapping, that would have been cool. He would have been so into that for me. But like again, like because he'd only really done deer, you know what I mean? Like it just didn't, but deer, I mean, venison was pretty much what we ate. So I always struggle when people ask us like, "Oh, like is deer gamey?" And I'm like, that's what we ate mostly growing up. Like I don't think so, especially not in Illinois. All they're eating is corn. But I can't really answer that question for you guys, but I think it's tasty.
Yeah, I don't even know
But
what gamey is. I mean, I guess I do, but
I'm like
yeah.
goose tastes a little more like metallic, I guess, like a little more
Hmm.
like iron rich, but I mean, cook it right and it tastes fine.
Hmm.
I'm the same with you, Jason. I've never understood gamey. I mean, all animals taste a little different. I mean, sometimes I feel like you could say beef is gamey, pork is
Yeah.
gamey. I mean, because you can tell that it's beef or you can tell that it's pork. I almost take gamey as it meaning like you can tell what type of animal it is rather than it just being like salty, fatty,
Yeah, you can actually
soft
taste the meat,
meatness.
not just the
Yeah.
seasoning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I struggle sometimes. I'm like, I don't know how to answer that to you. So whenever people are like, oh, like I'm like, well, let me just my baseline here is we ate the majority of our, red meat growing up was deer. So I can't help you with that.
Yeah.
That so
Yep.
but we all have good memories of, so it's a good thing. Do with your kids if you want to.
Hmm.
But if they're not into deer hunting, they might be into something else. I'm also throwing that out there.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, getting outside, I just think it's so important, especially nowadays, even more than ever before. Even when we were kids, they're telling us it was good to get outside. I always tell you get outside, and that was just because we had like video games. But now it's just like everything else, just computers and phones and everything else. That's the mentality of putting that stuff away for a while. Is That's why I look forward to it most now too.
Oh,
Is
my
just
digital
getting
detox. Yep.
yeah, just making my giving my eyes a flipping rest, man.
Looking for it.
But
What does Curtis say? Squirrel hunting, it's like the antidote for tech neck. Like you're gonna look up the whole
yeah,
time.
looking up instead of
Yeah,
down.
or
Yeah,
bird watching as
Or
well.
bird
But yeah,
watching or waterfowl hunting, like anything you're looking up.
all that stuff. Yeah, I'm not a doctor, so take this with a grain of salt. But I'm quite confident that getting outside and doing all this stuff is somehow good for you in way more ways than we even understand. You know.
hmm
And
Yep.
you have a
We
lot better
talk about it all the
stories too.
time, and we try not to. It's very easy for us, especially for me, to fall into this where you over romanticize hunting, but there really is this aspect to it that you just can't. You have to experience it yourself. There's, yeah, there,
It's
there are
fun.
all
And
these
like I was
benefits.
talking if you guys were at hunt camp, my mom was running around. I brought her in to help. And she was really funny. She's like, you guys are so like, because my husband doing it too. She's like, you guys are so happy. Because like, if left to my own devices, like I wouldn't leave my house. Like I do my own thing. And she's like, but you guys are just like, going out, having fun, and like you guys have all these good stories, and like just, like it's been good for us to go and do, and just have these adventures, and do things, and it's just kind of fun
Yeah,
to
and you
do
hmm
can
and
find
let us
adventures
know.
anywhere.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that's time. I mean, I think we're good with that, guys. I hope everybody's having a good time getting out. Like Dan said, this cold front in quotations is coming through. It looks like this is going to be down in the 40s in the morning at least. So uh, that's
It's
fun.
about time. It's
Yeah,
about
dude.
time.
I think we have a couple more deer webinars coming up. We have a event with Sitka coming up
Yeah.
with Rut, so that'll be exciting.
Sure. October 17th. Yeah, anybody that's around Vernon Hills, Illinois, definitely want to hit that one up. That's going to be our first ever cooperative workshop there at the Sitka store in Vernon Hills. So it's going to be fun. We're going to be bringing some wild game to that one. So and we're going to be really focused on deer and some advanced like rut hunting strategies. Really get into the weeds. So if
Very
you
much in the weeds. I've been putting together that presentation. It's very in the weeds. I'm very excited about it.
Cool.
Yeah, so if you start to get frustrated, your scouting, your hunting is not quite where you want it to be, hey, come on up the 17th, eat a little bit of good food, and let's chat through this game of chess together, because that's what it is. We're playing a game of chess against animals that are really good at surviving. It's not easy. If it was, everybody would do it. And
Yeah, just think of it as like a big old puzzle. Like it's, like
hmm
it's a challenge. It's fun, like Curtis was saying. It's a
Well, you don't have to do it alone. We at Illinois Learn to Hunt, we will be your mentors. There are no silly questions. You can hit us up at any time with your questions. You can send your maps. We're here to try to help work through this puzzle together. And we're not always going to win, but hey, we can swing the odds a little bit in our favor, and we can pretty much guarantee you if you're getting outside, you're going to have a good time, even
We
if
will
you're not
definitely get you in the
successful.
game.
Maybe
yeah,
a
and if you
bird will
get
land on
anything,
you like Jason. You never know. You'll remember that always.
yeah, and if you get anything, send us your pictures, tag us. We want to see. We like to know. We want to hear your story about it.
Yeah.
We like
And
a
then
good hunting story.
webinars. What's tomorrow? Is it going to be a plant special?
Yeah,
Deer
so it's
botany.
I've been building that presentation out quite a
Yeah.
bit too, and so that's going to be a deer botany one where we're going
Yep.
to again. There's thousands of plant species. We're just going through some of the ones you're going to see a lot, and some of the ones that are very influential for me as a deer hunter, and that I think people would resonate with. And so we're going to go through, dive into some of that identification. Some of it'll be trees, some of it'll be herbaceous plants and flowering plants, some of it'll be some of our graminoids, our grasses, sedges, and rushes, that kind of thing. But should be a fun one.
Yeah, and Dan's a good teacher for this. My husband in particular is not good with that kind of stuff and really likes what Dan teaches us because it's not every single plant within like, eyesight. It's just like here's a couple, like here's one,
Here's one that
go.
you'll see this everywhere and remember it. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So it's you don't have to know everything. It's just, a little bit at a time. It's not too overwhelming, but it's really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
and then
October 15th, we've got the deer food special webinar.
mhm.
That's going to be a noon webinar. So definitely, if you're interested in deer food sources, we'll be going over some of the not so not as well commonly known ones in that webinar. Everybody knows the corn and the soybeans and the acorns, but we'll be diving even deeper than that in that one. And then the following day, we got our rut strategies webinar. And that'll be our normal time at 6 p.m. on the 16th. So still got space for both of those webinars for deer hunters that are looking for some more info.
And if you
Yep, and
can't make
then
those, they'll be up on YouTube eventually as well. So
and if you're sick of us talking about deer, we got waterfowl ID and then duck calling webinars on the 28th and then November 4th. So
and we'll have
check
some
out.
trapping stuff too. I'm so excited for November. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Like Lauren mentioned, not everybody is a deer hunter, and that's okay. You know,
Yeah.
deer is super tasty, but I'll be honest, hunting them to me, I mean, I like trying to figure out the puzzle, but I would rather just try to figure it out and send somebody else there to sit and wait for hours and hours and wait and not have to move, you know? You have to be so still, you can't talk. That's
What I
not
sent my
me, you
husband.
know? I
I'm
move
like, I'll help you
around.
with all the stuff afterwards. Go have fun, honey.
But we got lots of other fun hunting stuff coming other than deer. Exciting stuff. Stuff that you don't have to be super quiet and still for all the time. Like, yes, trapping, waterfowl, uplands not that long away. You know, we got some cool stuff on the
Upland's a lot of fun
horizon.
too. So
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it's all fun. It's all fun.
Yeah.
It's all
It's all
different
fun
kinds of fun.
in its own way, for sure.
All right. Well, look forward to that. Look forward to getting out. Good luck to everybody who's getting out. Stay safe. Remember, youth firearm seasons this weekend. Wear orange, even on Monday. Um,
Yeah, be
that's
safe in your tree stands. Be safe with your
yeah.
crossbows and
Wear your
firearms,
wear
and
your
just
harnesses.
yeah, it's been a rough season already for a couple
Hmm.
people. So be careful.
Yeah, so always wear the harnesses, even climbing in and out. Just, yeah, that
Inspect your harness before you go up in the like before you go out.
it's
Yeah.
no joke.
Yep.
That's
All
like
right.
people talk about how safe pilots are. That's because they go through a safety briefing every single time they fly. We need to do that same thing every time we're going up and down a stand. Every single time. Not it doesn't matter if you're late, if you're tired. Safety briefing yourself. That's how you make sure you can keep going in and out of the woods each day.
Yeah, and that goes across the board with everything with hunting related stuff because I mean accidents are real deal stuff. So that goes with your firearms, your bows, and your stands and safety equipment across the board.
Yeah, do it and do your checks if you have to, even the night before you're tired, as much as you can. Double check the next morning, but just make sure you're good to go.
Hmm.
And don't forget your freaking windshield cards. If you've got a windshield card, a site that needs a windshield card, make sure you've got your windshield card.
If you search
Absolutely.
that, just search windshield card. Frickin' windshield card will probably not come up.
Sorry. Yes, yes. I'm just don't forget your windshield card. You don't want to make it to the site and then remember.
All righty. All right. Well, with that, we'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.